ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا
Good evening. Today is Saturday, December 21, 2024. I'm Suleiman Talash and you are watching RTA News. The United Nations Special Trust Fund for Afghanistan says that Norway has provided $4.48 million to internally displaced and returning refugees in Afghanistan, which will help them create sustainable opportunities and build a better life. In addition, the Ministry of Refugees and Returnees Affairs, in gratitude for Norway's assistance, calls on donor countries to provide basic assistance to displaced and returning refugees instead of humanitarian assistance. We have more details in this report.
The United Nations Special Trust Fund for Afghanistan wrote on Friday, December 30 that Norway has provided $4.48 million to internally displaced and returning refugees in Afghanistan.
This important support from Norway will help internally displaced and returning refugees, especially vulnerable Afghans, rebuild their lives and create sustainable opportunities for a better future.
Furthermore, the Ministry of Refugees and Returnees Affairs welcomes all countries, including Norway, that are helping Afghan refugees, but says that donor countries and institutions should provide assistance in constructive and basic areas instead of humanitarian assistance.
The aid should be given directly to the Afghans transparently and fairly. And secondly, this aid should be spent on basic needs, because emergency aid cannot solve anyone's problems in the long term. This aid should be spent on basic works so that Afghans can stand on their own feet in the future and not become dependent on anyone again.
This is why Pakistan's Special Representative for Afghanistan, Muhammad Sadiq Khan, met with the representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Islamabad and discussed the situation of Afghan refugees living in Pakistan.
A condolences ceremony was held in Malaysia for the martyr Khalilur Rahman Haqqani. The Embassy of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan in Malaysia held a condolence ceremony on the occasion of the martyrdom of Khalilur Rahman Haqqani by opening a book of condolences. The ceremony was attended by high-ranking Malaysian officials as well as ambassadors and diplomats from various countries. The Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs announces the distribution of winter clothing to more than 800 orphanage students in Saripul, Balkh and Kunduz provinces. In this program, local officials called on all aid organizations to provide more assistance to orphanage students and vulnerable families during the cold season. The Rural Rehabilitation and Development Department of Ghazni Province has announced the implementation of more than 300 development projects worth more than 180 million Afghanis this year. According to local officials, these projects, which were implemented in cooperation with partner institutions in the province, include the construction of drinking and agriculture water networks, the construction and reconstruction of roads, and others. The Kunduz Public Works Department in Dashtarchi district of the province has started building 20 kilometers of road for 500 million Afghanis. According to local administration officials, local people welcomed the beginning of the project and demanded the launch of development projects in the province by the relevant authorities. The Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs says that it has dealt with about 8,000 cases of child crossings in the country since the beginning of this year. The ministry spokesman said that the children crossed the border from Iran, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Turkey. More details in this report. The Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs considers addressing the problems of orphans as one of its priorities. The ministry spokesman said that about 8,000 cases of children crossing the borders from neighboring countries and the region have been dealt with this year.
Since the beginning of the year 1403, nearly 8,000 cases of children have been reported. These are children who have been deported from foreign countries, especially from Iran, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Turkey. In the areas where these children have been handed over to the Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs, efforts have been made to find their families and return them to their families.
سپارل شوي دي هڅه شوې ده چې په لومړي سر کې د دوی کورنۍ پیدا شي دوی تر خپلو کورنۍ پورې ورسول شي.
The ministry's spokesman urged that children whose families cannot be found are kept in the ministry's orphanages.
او د هغوی چې کورنۍ نه دي پیدا شوي یاد ماشومان.
These children who were not found in families were kept in support centers for a period of 1 month, after which they were introduced to orphanages so that they could receive their education and everything they needed.
د اړتیا لري رسېدنه ورته وشي.
Meanwhile, some citizens praised this action of the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs and emphasized addressing the problems of such children.
Help those who are homeless and destitute and who come here and cross the border so that they can have a good and bright future. These people should be helped more. If their families exist, they should be handed over to them. And if they do not, they should be taken to an orphanage so that they can grow up and serve our own society.
This is when, after the Islamic Emirate regained power in the country, along with the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, other institutions involved in this sector have also provided services to support children. Dozens of military vehicles were repaired and reused by the technical and professional team of the Central Brigade of the Ministry of Interior Affairs. According to the Ministry of Interior Affairs, work is currently underway to repair hundreds of other military vehicles. Nimruz Governor Sheikh Muhammad Qasem Khalid met with poultry farm officials in the province. In this meeting, the Nimruz governor assured that their problems would be resolved. All farmers should strictly follow the decision of the Ministry of Industry and Commerce regarding the price of poultry and cooperate with the relevant authorities in this regard. The Disaster Management Directorate of Saripul Province, with the financial support of the ACTED organization, distributed cash assistance to 800 poor, homeless, returnees and deserving families. In this series, after the survey in the presence of representatives of the provincial government, the Disaster Management Directorate, the Economy Department and the organization, 22,560 Afghanis were allocated for each family, with a total of 804,800 Afghanis in cash distributed to these families. And the final one is that a water supply network in the Kugyani district of Nangarhar province was completed and put into use at a cost of over 6 million Afghanis. According to the statements of the local officials, with the implementation of this project, hundreds of jobs have been created for local people and the problems of the residents of the area in terms of water supply have been resolved. That's all for tonight. Stay with us for the latest updates of RTA News. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.
راتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور